Really wanted to watch this Genshin video. It's been up for a couple days. We reacted live to the Song of the Welkin Moon Moonlit Ballad of Night teaser, which was awesome. And you know what? Actually, I just want to check on one thing. Ready? Nod-Krai. We had a lot of characters coming out. Look at this. Bam. People know. People are already here. So very quickly. Okay, so we have characters that are 100% I'm super excited for, characters that I consider a must pull, characters that I'm just gonna pull because they look good. I'll try them out, I guess, and characters that I'm only pulling to complete my collection. So starting out with the first character we see in Nefa, only for my collection. She's cute, or I know, sorry. Same thing with Anetha. She looks cool. I like the design, but I have no attachment. The next character we saw was Yehoda, who I'm reluctant to pull. I like her design. She looks like a Zenless character, but sure, why not? Anetha we already did pull, but I would put her there too. And then we get into the difficult part. Because all of these characters are awesome. Of them, the character I may be least excited for, but is really cool looking, is Nicole. I love, when she had her wings out, it looked really cool. Then we'll pull Columbina and Sandrone. I know everyone is hyped for Columbina. I kind of prefer Sandrone to Columbina. I don't know why. I just love the idea of the puppeteer marionette vibe. I believe Lauma was her name, right? I'd put her here, just above Nicole. Then in my must pull, Flynn's, I think they said his name was. And then I love her design. The Sumeru Nefer, the Sumeru snake-like design. Then there's the final three. Alice, in order, Durin, Varka. They are my three favorite characters from this trailer. And they're three characters not from Nod-Krai. So I'm just very excited for them. So this is what I have to look forward to in Nod-Krai. I wanted to look, though, because we watched that trailer and I got hyped for all these characters. I was waiting for one favorite lore keeper and the #1 Dainsleif main, Minsleif. She did a video, 16-minute video. I wanted to check this out. So, we're going to give this a quick watch. And here we go.
Impact just released a Song of the Welkin Moon teaser.
I feel like I picked up a good number of things.
Sleeping tonight? All of us. I'm pretty sure all of us. We're going to break it down scene by scene because this teaser is rich with lore, ancient history, and foreshadowing for what's to come in the highly anticipated Nod-Krai. This is my initial analysis, but there's definitely going to be a deeper part 2 video because this teaser is absolutely packed. I actually had an hour-long Nod-Krai video that I've been working on for about 2 months now, but I definitely have to add more to it because of this teaser. But Before we dive into the scenes themselves, there's some crucial backstory you need to carry with you going into
The Moon
Nod-Krai.
Sisters?
This is, without exaggeration, one of the most important pieces of ancient Teyvat history we've ever been given, and it'll make what's about to happen in Nod-Krai a lot easier to understand.
Okay.
Trust me. Long before humans walked Teyvat, it was a world ruled by dragons and the 7 sovereigns.
Yep.
Presiding above them all was the Dragon King Nibelung. He was the original ruler of the planet. Then came the invasion from beyond. An alien god known to us as the Heavenly Principles
Primordial
descended
one.
upon Teyvat. This god defeated the dragons, claimed the entire world, and created humans. From that moment forward, Teyvat began to shift. Dragons were cast aside and the era of humankind began. But the Dragon King Nibelung
That was the
didn't
opening
accept
of the
defeat
arc.
quietly. In an attempt to reclaim his world, he ventured beyond Teyvat and returned with forbidden knowledge from the abyss.
Yep.
With this newfound power, he launched a second war against the Heavenly Principles, what Neuvillette refers to as the Great War of Vengeance. At first, Nibelung was depicted in murals as a white dragon, but the corruption of the abyss twisted him into a darker form. The Great War of Vengeance caused massive destruction, nearly bringing the entire world to ruin. Though Nibelung believed
We've
the
got a
power of the
lot of
abyss
this
would grant
in
him
that
victory, it ultimately led to his demise and the near extinction of his kin. In the aftermath, the Heavenly Principles cast down the celestial nails to try to repair the world.
To
But
suppress
these divine
forbidden
devices
knowledge.
also devastated the ancient civilizations in Teyvat, even the human civilizations. So remember, there were 2 great
Turning
wars in
Vindigar to
Teyvat's
dragon
ancient
spine,
history.
destroying the
first, where
desert.
the Heavenly Principles conquered the dragons, and the second where Nibelung returned, seeking revenge with the power of the abyss. Now that we've covered that, let's look at one of the earliest lines in the teaser. It was not until the funerary year that the primordial voice once again cried out in the darkness. This is a direct reference to the Before Sun and Moon
From
books
Enkonomiya.
found in Enkonomiya, books so dangerous that Otobashi was executed by order of Celestia just for reading them. The Funerary Year chapter describes the very war we just discussed, Nibelung's War of Vengeance and the darkness it ushered in.
Okay.
So this teaser is intentionally anchoring itself in the deepest roots of Genshin's lore. So how do the moons tie into all of this? The 3 moons of Teyvat are also known as the 3 Moon Sisters.
Aria, Sonnet, and Canon, yep.
They were goddesses who also served as Teyvat's moons. Teyvat had 3 moons in the sky in the past. Some refer to them as the iridescent moon, the eternal moon, and the frost moon, but we don't yet know which name matches which sister. The teaser states that the primordial being
So is
that
the
once
frost
ruled
moon
the
the only
sky
one that
made
survived?
3
Because that's kinda
moons
huge.
rise from the earth. Normally, we'd assume primordial being refers to the Heavenly Principles, but in this case, it likely refers to Nibelung. In early murals, he's shown presiding over
the
Teyvat
3
with
moons.
the 3 moons in front of him. After the Heavenly Principles won the first war, they took
And I will say, in the quest we just did, maybe about half an hour ago, the 11th Dragon Lord referred to the Moon Sisters as traitors. So them serving Nibelung tracks.
control of the moons. But during the Second War, the Great War of Vengeance, Nibelung's return, 2 moons were destroyed and only 1 survived. Now let's break down the scenes from the teaser.
Were they destroyed
First,
by
we
the
see
dragons,
Varka,
maybe?
the long-awaited Grandmaster of the Knights of Favonius, in all his beefy glory, with the wolf's gravestone on his back. If you watch a teaser with subs, what he says is actually more interesting.
I will steal the moon.
I came here for the moon, Mondstadt.
Tonight, we
This
were
is
going to
Genshin
steal the
Impact,
moon,
so there
minions.
are no coincidences. Mondstadt literally translates to Moon City.
We've
in
known that for a
German.
while.
The Fury implication here suggests that long before the Archon War, the region that would become Mondstadt was a civilization that worshipped the moons. Theoretically, after the Archons came into power, their worship could have replaced the moons. But in Nod-Krai, it's said that the power of the moon was used to keep the abyss at bay, specifically
The wild
Hunt,
abyss.
the most terrifying manifestation of the abyss we've ever seen. If Mondstadt was originally aligned with the moon, then Varka's journey might be about reclaiming that heritage, to defend his homeland using its oldest power. Varka may have come to Nod-Krai to learn how to harness the power of the moon so he can protect Mondstadt.
Despicable
if
Me,
Teyvat
we're gonna
is
steal the moon,
plunged into
baby.
darkness once again. After all, Alice warns us that the borders of Teyvat are weakening. Teyvat is doomed yet again, but this time we'll be here to experience it. Next, we meet Aino, likely the leader of the Clink Clank Crumb Cake craft shop and a genius inventor. She designed Inefa, the first playable character from Nod-Krai in version 5.8. Inefa appears in the teaser alongside Durin and Jehoda. Jehoda remarks the moon's a long way off. We might go hungry, but at least we have plenty of time. This
before the moon
implies that
arrives.
they might be on a journey to find the frost moon, possibly the location where we later see Columbina. And we finally see Durin. Originally a dragon created by the
100%.
Hexen witch Ander's daughter, Durin was given a humanoid form by Albedo in the Paralogism Archon quest. This teaser gives us our first proper look at him in that new form. Based on the 5.8 trailer, we know Inefa leaves Nod-Krai, which means this teaser is set before the events of the upcoming Archon quest. Now, remember how the power of the moon was used to repel the Wild Hunt? In this teaser, we see that moonlight becoming a flame and a lantern held by Flins, our first character from
Lightkeepers? Yep.
The Lightkeepers were ancient protectors
That was
of
my
Nod-Krai
guess.
who
They're
worked
the-
with the
yeah.
Frost Moon Scions to wield the power of the Frost Moon. Their founder, the Torch Forger, struck a deal with the Tsaritsa centuries ago, promising to protect both Snezhnaya and Nod-Krai in exchange for Nod-Krai's independence. But after the Cataclysm, the Fatui broke that treaty. They abandoned the Lightkeepers to the Wild Hunt and allowed them to be nearly wiped out. With the Lightkeepers no longer a threat, the Tore moved in and built his stronghold. So yeah, it's pretty clear the Lightkeepers and probably the Frost Moon Scions too
Are opposed to the
exactly
Fatui.
fans of the Fatui. Some
Yeah.
players managed to translate the glowing text on the tombstone, which reads, "In sacred tribute to Chudomir the Arni Valkea." At first I thought this might be the name of one of Flynn's relatives or ancestors, maybe even the
Chudomir
legendary
Flynn's.
Torch Forger himself. But then I looked up the word Arni Valkea. In Finnish folklore, it refers to a will-o'-the-wisp that dances above a hidden treasure. Does that
That
mean this
sounds
is
a
the
lot
grave of
like,
Seelie?
yeah, a
It's
Seelie.
possible this could be the resting place of a Seelie companion that fought alongside Flynn's family. Or, hear me out, maybe one of Flynn's ancestors actually fell in love with a Seelie. And that's not unheard of. Historically,
Yeah.
when Seelie still existed in their full angelic forms, we know of
One
at least
fell in love.
one who
Mhm.
fell in love with a human. So, who knows? Maybe this grave marks the legacy of that kind of bond. Then we get a closer look
They got
at
married in the
Sandrone,
Lunar
Fatui
Palace, right?
Harbinger. She refers to the Frostmoon Scions as a laughably futile rebellion. It's worth noting that Sandrone appears to have a mechanical key embedded in her back, suggesting she may completely be a puppet or robot.
Again, I know it's a little Route 1, but I am really of the idea that the real marionette is maybe inside of the giant robot, and the Sandrone that we see is literally a marionette.
Literal marionette.
Yeah.
She definitely warrants a deep dive video of her own because there's a lot of lore surrounding her that we won't fully unpack here because I want to go to sleep. I have a couple videos about her in the
A lot
meantime, but
of
I
people,
promise
I have heard, a lot of people see her and think she looked like Marianne from the Narcissenkreuz World Quest back in Fontaine. Fontaine being the most technologically advanced would kind of like sync up with her being a mech master. Could be cool.
Do a
Could be
full
neat.
video on her very soon. Next, we see Lauma, a priestess of the Frost Moon Scions. Her people, the Frost Moon Scions, or Moon Children, fled their golden homeland of Hyperborea thousands of years ago and settled on Hisi Island in Nod-Krai. In ancient times, one of their priestesses lent her light to the Torch Forger to build a lighthouse that would protect Nod-Krai from the
From
Wild
the
Hunt.
abyss, yeah.
In the teaser, we see Lauma perform a blood sacrifice, pleading for the Frost Moon's light to shine on Nod-Krai once again. And we see her blood glowing with moonlight. Then comes Nefer, a storyteller whose name might be a reference to Nefertiti.
That
I
was my
honestly thought
first
with her name and
assumption.
appearance, she'd be a
Sumeru.
character from Sumeru, but she's here in Nod-Krai and she appears to be working with Farka. Nefer mentions that a
she
greater
could be
storyteller than
Sumeru.
herself has arrived, and that's when we see her, Nicole Rain, the enigmatic witch of the Hexen Circle. We've
And-
actually heard her before. She was the mysterious
The voice
who appeared
from-
during the Sumeru Archon quests and offered help during Fontaine's story as well. For the longest time, we suspected Nicole
Yeah, she told
might
us
be
about the Great
Seelie,
Prophecy.
And now we finally get a soft confirmation. According to the Natlan Archon quest, Seelies are angels. And in this teaser, we see Nicole's wings and halo begin to glow. Her eyes also shine in the shape of true primogems. Personally, I couldn't help but smile. Years ago, I toyed with the theory that the people of Conria might be distant descendants of the Seelies, all because of that one haunting little book, The Pale Princess and the Six Pygmies. So seeing Nicole with true Seelie features and glowing wings,
I noticed the wings, I didn't notice the
kind of
halo.
Feels like a full circle moment. Nicole is a powerful prophetess. She's known among the Hexen Circle as the guide who will never get lost, because she always shows up to help those in need. She speaks directly into people's minds without warning, and might actually be mute. She once described herself as
that could be cool.
Her inability to speak. Even Wolfie references her as the quiet friend of Madame Mage who communicates telepathically. In this teaser, she delivers a chilling prophecy. Beyond the moonlight's reach, an ancient shadow brandishes its hunting claws, taking aim at the stars. I think this line could be referencing one of two things. First, it might refer to Nibelung. According to the finale of the Deep Galleries, he was warned of the destruction of his kind and tried to lead the dragons to safety towards the stars. He oversaw a space elevator project that would carry his people beyond Tevat. But before they could leave, it's believed the Heavenly Principles attacked and destroyed their efforts. Alternatively, Nicole's words might also be pointing to the Wild Hunt, the monstrous force tied to the Abyss and likely the main antagonist of Nod-Krai.
So I would assume it would point to that then.
Beyond the moonlight's protection, now reaching for the stars. Honestly, the idea of a reborn Nibelung being the leader of the Wild Hunt both terrifies and excites me. But personally, I'm hoping the real leader is someone else. Someone we'll be talking about very soon. We also see Columbina, the third of the Fatui Harbingers, who is now referred to as the Moon Maiden. We've explored her significance before in our breakdown of the God's Limits teaser, but let me quickly recap it here. The Seelies are almost certainly connected to the Moon Sisters.
Yes, we know that.
When the three moons of Tevat fell, the angelic race of Seelies fell with them. Once divine beings, they were cursed and reduced to the glowing wisp-like creatures we see today. Their downfall mirrored the collapse of the moons themselves.
So is she a true Seelie who could become the new moon?
The fallen moons, a new moon will rise. That brings us back to Columbina. The upcoming Nod-Krai patch.
So she's maybe a true Seelie?
Of the Still Mist, Rise of the New Moon. The Fatui Harbingers are searching for Columbina, and in this teaser, we see her in a strange, haunting realm beneath a moon that looks like it's on the verge of crashing into Tevat. The moon just looks uncomfortably close. She stands alone in a mysterious field of flowers, saying that the fall of the moon is nigh. The theory here is that Columbina may be a vessel for a new moon goddess.
That's kind of cool.
The design is full of angelic Seelie-like symbolism after all. If the Seelies were once deeply tied to the power of the moons, then it makes sense that a Seelie, or someone descended from them, could become the incarnation of a new moon goddess, rising to replace the ones lost in the Great War of Vengeance. Of course, the frost moon is still hanging in the sky for now. But Enefa's story in the 5.8 trailer suggests something much darker. It's heavily implied that the moon, maybe the frost moon, was pulled down by some external force. Whether it was the Wild Hunt or the Fatui isn't entirely clear.
I'm assuming Fatui.
Let's think for a second.
Based on what we've seen now.
That Fatui machine we've seen in Nod-Krai?
Yeah.
What if its purpose was to drag the moon out of the sky? If that's the case, the frost moon might already be destroyed by the time we arrive in Nod-Krai. And with all three moons gone, the conditions would finally be right for a new moon to rise from the ashes of the old. Perhaps that was the Fatui's plan all along, to bring down the final moon and trigger the rebirth of a new moon goddess. And Columbina may be the vessel they've been preparing for that very purpose.
A new god who can strike out at
we get one
Celestia?
of the most surprising reveals yet. Alice. Yes, the Alice. Mondstadt's most mysterious adventurer, renowned mage, and author of the Tevat Travel Guide. She's finally here, and her design does not disappoint. I mean, the hat alone is iconic. Honestly, every single character from Nod-Krai looks stunning, but seeing Alice at last feels like a major lore milestone. Alongside her, we'll also see returning characters like Albedo, Yelan, and Wanderer, each of whom will likely play an important role in the upcoming Nod-Krai Archon quests. But the real intrigue lies in the note Alice holds in her hand. On it are three names: Aralos Solnari.
So Arya, Sonnet, and Canon? The three Moon Sisters? Are these maybe their names? The one that strikes me the most, and she's probably about to get into it, is Solnari. Because we have heard Solnari before with we just met Ryan Dottir. We saw her for the first time in our last teaser, but as one of the 5 sinners of Conria, Ryan Dottir Gold, Vedafolnir, Hroftatir. I'm blanking on the 4th one, but the 5th one is the character who we know the least about. Let me go back to my... Yeah, Ryan Dottir Gold, Vedafolnir the Visionary, Sertologi the Foul, who we've now seen in Skirk's story quest. We saw Vedafolnir as a giant crystal back in the Carrybear quest. Heroptatir the Wise, who we don't know a lot about. But the final of the 5, who we know the least about, was named Rerir, the Rashier of Solnari. That's interesting. In mythology, Rerir was the grandson of Odin who sought to avenge his father. Rashier, of course, meaning avenger. So, the person who takes revenge for Solnari. The literal translation for Solnari is the sun nourisher. But if it's one of the Moon Sisters, could it be a person who cared about the moon or is trying to protect the moon? I don't know, man. That's interesting.
And canon. At first glance, the initials clearly match the 3 Moon Sisters, Arya, Sonnet, and Canon.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just a simple nod to their names. Get it? See what I did there? It's 4 a.m., but I think there's much more going on here. The name that immediately stands out is Solnari.
Yeah.
That's because Rerir of Solnari is one of the 5 sinners of Conria. In other languages, the title translates to Moon Hunter or Avenger of Solnari.
What did I
We've
say?
speculated before that Rerir might be the leader of the Wild Hunt, the destructive force tied to the Abyss and Nod-Krai.
Oh, that's
if
cool.
Solnari is an alternate name for one of the 3 Moon Sisters, the implications are massive. There's long been the implication that the Moon Sisters turned on one another, and only one of the 3 survived.
We have heard that.
If that's true, then the Avenger of Solnari might be a reference to vengeance against the sister who betrayed or killed Solnari. That would tie the sinners, the Wild Hunt, and the Moon mythology together in a more tragic way than we initially expected. But this is Genshin Impact, so I expect a lot of things to be tragic. As for the other names, Canon is a stylized reference to Canon, one of the original 3 moons. But Aralos is more ambiguous. It could be another name for Arya, or maybe an anagram of Solar or Solara. That's significant because in ancient Teyvat lore, the 3 Moon Sisters rode a lunar carriage across the night sky, while a solar chariot traveled the skies during the day. During the Great War of Vengeance, that solar chariot was said to have crash-landed into the chasm. But the people there repaired it and eventually sent it back to the sky. So if Aralos is tied to the solar chariot, then Nod-Krai is really the place where a lot of Genshin's ancient lore will be completely demystified. I hope. So those are my initial thoughts and theories on the brand new Song of the Welcome Moon teaser, Moonlit Ballad of the Night. If you enjoyed this video, please
that was
like
interesting.
And subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. I'm your sleepy lore keeper Minzlif, and
she needs to sleep. Minzlif, go to sleep. All right, so that's pretty interesting. The idea that Rerir, who's the only one... I mean, we don't know a lot about Horoptatir. We know very, very little. But Rerir Rashier of Sanali is the sinner of Conria that we know the least about. So if they're in charge of the Wild Hunt, and the purpose of the Wild Hunt is literally to get revenge for the moon, could they be the one that are pulling down the final Moon Sister if what we believed originally was true and the 3 Moon Sisters turned on each other and only one survived? be it either Auralos or Canon? Could the force that pulled down the moon not be for the Fatui, but instead be the Wild Hunt led by Ririr? That could be cool. That could be neat. That could be interesting. All right. I think. So yes, I said I will be back to play this in a couple days. Probably on Thursday. Then I will be back again to play this on Saturday. I think I'm going to throw a raid right now as I'm wrapping this up. But thank you guys so much for joining me. This was pretty cool. I like NF as a character more than I thought I would. But that's what I'm going to call it for now. So thank you so much for joining me. Until next time. Oh, wait. It definitely is not. I don't know. If they're not available to raid, that's kind of a bummer. I'll just find someone else to raid who's doing Genshin right now. All right. There we go. Oh no, they're offline? God damn it. You. Alright. Thanks you guys so much for joining me. That's it for this thing that I'm doing. Until next time, stay awesome. Peace.